among these pictures here on this drive, there is another?
I believe there's three total.
Okay. May I have the witness step down, Your Honor?
6715 is one.
Okay.
That's about Mr. Howard.
6715, isn't that just?
Oh yes, that's correct. I thought that was standing up.
Okay.
I'll come up.
That's the state. Come on.
See? Sure.
Well, actually, if you don't mind the witness testifying there, instead of me writing them down, why don't you just tap them as you go?
Okay.
That number is?
6722.
6722. Oh, this person is outside the vehicle, I see.
Correct. That's another demonstrative.
You gotta speak up, sir.
That's another demonstrative.
I thought you said the person wasn't outside the vehicle.
No, you're misunderstanding or you're taking it out of context, actually. So the pictures that I testified to were all demonstrative photos of different scenarios for the shooting.
So the person could have been outside the vehicle?
No.
Okay,
what
but
I
what?
testified is that somebody was inside the vehicle, but the pictures that you're referring to you're saying that I only considered one option when I have multiple options for this.
Okay, I'm asking for you to show me the other demonstrative scenario that you presented or that you devised in your examination with the shooter inside the vehicle.
There's another one outside right there.
So I'm definitely starting to believe Philip Dubé here. The defense better have their own expert, because I don't think they're doing a great job refuting the direct examination of this expert, because very clearly he went through some of these outside the vehicle scenarios, and yet defense counsel saying, well, what do you mean? You said it couldn't happen from outside the vehicle. Well, no, he anticipated that and addressed it. Sunny, what do you think?
I think that the defense needs to have, as Philip has stated earlier, their own experts. They need to have this in play. And before he started this line of questioning, he should have actually looked at the photos so he could determine which ones would best benefit him during his questioning, and not need the witness to come from the stand to help him identify what was necessary. I think this is not a good line of questioning for him, and that he needs to have his own people.
Yeah, I think,
and
Philip,
ready.
You're right. They probably could have cut this very short. We weren't even sure there was going to be this kind of expertise. We knew the MEs were going to be on. They were on yesterday, one for Anthony Williams, one for Christopher Thomas Jr., and that was kind of, we thought, where it might end. But at some point, this guy was needed, this reconstructionist, and I think at this point it was a good move. What do you think?
It was an excellent move. If you remember yesterday, they tried to use the second doctor, I think it was Dr. Stoddard from the coroner's office, to try to conflate her expertise in forensic pathology and ballistics, to try to get into some of the measurements, the projectile and the bullet pathways. And I think a jury might have a hard time accepting that type of opinion from a medical doctor, and I think that's why they had this as a backup. But I got to tell you, they need their own expert for the following reason, the defense does, and that is They want to get a jury instruction that says if the evidence is subject to 2 or more reasonable interpretations, one pointing toward guilt and one towards innocence, the jury is required to adopt the one pointing towards innocence. So what does that mean? The prosecution has their expert pointing toward guilt. The defense now needs an expert pointing towards innocence. Otherwise, without that conflict, the jury is stuck with accepting the prosecution's experts as true.
Yeah, that's a great
That's the
point.
problem.
And unless they totally discount the expert, which I don't see happening, at least based on what I've seen. It's going to be very interesting. We do believe that this may be the last, if not one of the last, witnesses for the prosecution. So we're going to get a sneak peek at the defense case very soon. Right now, though, a quick break, and we'll come back. More out of Florida. Jamell Devon's on trial for the murder of 2 of his rap friends. We'll be right back.
More water for the witness.
Yeah, this one is not.
You talk so much. I gotta keep the road moving. Let's go, gents. I got one more.
Jury entering. All present? All right, let the record reflect the presence of the defendant, Mr. Devons, his counsel, the assistant state attorneys. The witness remains on the stand. Our jury is present. When we broke, you were still on your cross-examination, Mr. Howard. If you're ready, you may continue.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. You know, I got excited. Let me get some stuff I wanted to get out the way.
Okay.
The firearm that you're using in all of these demonstrations is a 9mm,
Yes.
6 hour.
Yes. You're good.
Another thing, we went through the part of your testimony concerning all the potential GSR that you retrieved.
Correct.
Identified, and you swabbed and sent to the lab for testing.
Down dip, yeah.
That. And you're aware that none of them came back positive definitively for GSR.
So there's 3 particles to GSR, and what was collected were 2 particle GSRs. So there's elements of GSR in there, just not all 3 of them. And one of them will diminish over time. Obviously, I came into it 3 years later, so the nitrates one will tend to diminish over time.
Okay.
The barium will be around, and the lead will be around, and that's the other 2 particles. So those will stick around because they're stronger metals, but the nitrates that burn, they'll disappear relatively soon, which is generally on the gunshot residue collection kit that there is. It's recommended to collect GSR within 3 hours of the shooting due to wanting to collect those nitrates so that you can have 3 particles. But just because there's not 3 doesn't mean that it's not there. What was collected were 2 particle GSR, which is 2 of the 3 particles of gunshot residue.
Okay. See if you can follow. For there to be a definitive determination that the particles that are being tested represent GSR, there needs to be all 3, correct?
Correct.
And there were not all 3 in this instance, correct?
Correct.
And the reason you think they weren't all 3 is because the third one would have dissipated over time,
Correct.
and you were called in 3 years later.
Yes.
So the incompetence that would have occurred here,
Sustained.
it's not your fault that what you're saying is this isn't your fault.
Well, I don't know if that's a fair question. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. I collected what I saw.
Okay.
If I was there on day 1, there would be 3 particle GSR.
You're speculating that there would be 3 particle GSR, correct?
Well, it would be within the time frame.
Right. But you don't know that it would have come back as GSR because there was no definitive determination made on the particles that you collected, correct?
It's not that there is no definitive. So RJ Lee will generally want, I gave you that report. Can I have it back?
This one?
Yeah. So they have on there, I believe it says 2 particle GSR, there's over 9.
Is it correct that as regards the samples that you retrieved, the result of the testing was total particles characteristic of GSR 0?
Correct. So you, in order to have that, can I have that back? In order to have that, you would need to have all 3. That's my argument.